Let me know when you want to get started. Temperature, okay? Here, okay. All right, so I am so happy to see all of you here. I really am. I really like it when we have a group that we can learn from each other, interact with. And my name is Martha. I'm with Southern Caregiver Resource Center. And we also have our friends online who are watching this live stream class. And all of you are welcome to later on log on to our website and see the class again. And if anyone online has any questions, they can certainly send us the questions and we'll try to answer. I will have to probably repeat them so that they can hear them, just so you know. And don't think, well, why is she repeating the same question? She just heard it. But that is why, so that our friends online can hear and understand. But today I wanted to talk about assistive technology in a digital age. And this is a topic that I think a lot of you are caregivers, correct? Right? We say wheelchair, we say cane. But these are all tools that can help you during your caregiving roles. So I want to talk about a lot of them today. I'm hoping to cover them all within the hour. There are a lot of examples, and some of you might not have even thought about, so feel free to write things down. If you need paper, my colleague can give you a couple of sheets of paper so you can write it down, or a pen. Just let her know, and she'll be happy to do that. Okay, we ready to get started? All right. Here we go. So this is what I want to talk to you about. What is assistive technology? Right? Let's make it basic. Identify what is available to you as caregivers and find ways to utilize these in your caregiving role. Pretty simple, right? So here we go. So assistive technology, what do you understand when I say that?
When you see technology, I think of computers and
Yes.
I think of those types of things, platforms to help us manage whatever.
Yes. So technology, I mean, we are so, yes, your smartphone, right? I mean, it's as smart as we are, right? But we need to utilize it to our advantage, and sometimes we don't even think that that's possible. What else do you understand from this term? Anybody confused by what that might be? Or is it pretty clear?
When I first saw the title of this, what you're saying right now is not what I thought.
Okay, what did you think?
While you were talking about devices and things, I mean, other than smartphones and
Yes.
computers, I don't know, are you mentioning like durable medical equipment devices?
Okay,
I
okay.
don't know.
So you went broader.
I'm not sure.
So really, it's just those tools, the equipment, any items that can make our caregiving roles easier. And they can be very simple, tangible objects, or they can be technology that is available to us, or it can be a combination of both. And it all depends on what our needs are. So who uses assistive technology? So when I say AT, it's assistive technology. Who uses AT? Everybody. Can you think of a time that you've used something like that? Right now, yes. Right? Absolutely. So a lot of us go online, right? And we use technology. We might use it to stay in touch with friends, to buy. Anybody shopping around this time, right? A click of a button, get the phone and you've ordered all kinds of stuff, right? Or get it shipped. You don't even have to worry about picking it up. And so a lot of us use technology, but I think as caregivers, we kind of are a little disconnected, that we don't think that maybe we can bridge that gap with assistive technology. And also people who have some sort of cognitive impairment. What do I mean by cognitive impairment? Dementia, right? Inability to maybe make decisions. And this could also be very beneficial to them. We have also people with visual and hearing issues. What are some quick things that you can think of when I say hearing issues? Hearing aids, right? That's assistive technology, right? And limited mobility, like what?
You mentioned walkers earlier.
Walkers,
Wheelchairs.
wheelchairs, and those are not even the the electrical ones, right? I mean, we do have the electrical ones. So those are all examples of us. And even I want you to think as we talk about this conversation, this topic today, it's not even, it can be expanded to go further, not just the care receiver, but also you as a caregiver. Because these are tools to help make your jobs easier. And I say jobs because you do have that job, right, as a caregiver, 24/7 probably. But also as just individuals going about with our lives. You know, you said, Joe over here said phone, right? Some of us have apps that track things and remind us to do things, and are your smart watches, right? So those are all examples of us using these type of tools, and it has nothing to do with caregiving, right? So here we go. So what is the purpose? Very simple, I think.
Gain more information.
Gain more information.
Make life better.
Better, easier, faster, efficient, right? And that is the purpose. And it's also to do some of these things that can help us with our daily lives, right? Remembering calendars, right? Doctor's appointments, classes. Don't forget the live stream class. Reading, right? We got glasses. Seeing, communication, listening. What else am I missing? Just day-to-day activities. What could be helpful? Anybody have those little key chains
Yes,
that you can?
on everything.
Oh, good. The little, like the square, right? Is that what it's called? Where you can just find it, the tile. I think it's like a tile. Because we can't find our keys, right? And that makes our lives easier,
And you can't find a person, you can just find my icon.
right? And actually, I've heard some parents that actually put those little tiles on their children when they go on like trips, as a kind of like as a precaution. They can track where their children are. Okay, so some types of assisted technology, and I'm going to stand over here, is independent living aids. And I'm going to go over each of them a little bit more so you can understand them, okay? Medication aids, personal care products, mobility products, communication devices, home modification aids, incontinence and toileting supplies, vehicle modification and accessible vans, AT for monitoring potential crisis, and for people with cognitive impairment or dementia. Okay, so as you can see, there are many types. And as you are in your caregiving journey, you might consider assembling your toolbox with all or some of these to help your life and make it a little bit easier, okay? So what are independent living aids? Well, let's see. It does sound so foreign, right? What are you talking about? Guess? You want to take a guess?
I'm thinking like that commercial, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes. That was great marketing, right? Because we still remember. Yes, still remember. So I use it for myself. Shocker, not the tallest person. So when I'm trying to get a cup for my coffee, guess what I have to use? Because I can't reach. And that's in my kitchen. So these are, this is an example of something that we could use as, you know, whether or not we're caregivers. These are actually weighted utensils. So they're heavy. So they're easier for people maybe with Parkinson's to use as they're eating or feeding themselves. You know, to put on your shoes. Right? You don't have to bend all the way down. Or over the seat, handrails or toilets, seats. Right? So these are examples of independent living aids. And this is pretty much to help us all during our just daily lives. We need help with our daily needs. Things that we might take for granted, right? Maybe if I were a really tall person, then I wouldn't even think about that, right? But I think about that one for sure. Okay, so medication aids. So this is maybe for someone who has a chronic illness, they need to take a lot of medication and several prescriptions. Some might be prescription, some might be non-prescription. And so what am I thinking about when I say this?
I'm thinking about the pill separator thing,
Yeah,
the daily.
the little pill dispenser, yes. So here we go. Here's a fancy one, right? I think it's electronic and it opens up and it reminds you. Pill crusher? Yes.
Another student
Yes.
hasn't quite found us yet.
Uh-oh. Have them come in and join us, no problem. Pill crusher. So I haven't told you, I used to be a caregiver, and I used to care for my great aunt, and she had dementia. And it was really hard for her to swallow her medication. And they were really big pills. And I knew she wasn't going to be able to do that. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? It doesn't matter how much I explain it to her, she's just not able to do that. So somebody said, why don't you get a pill crusher? And I was like, what? So simple. You just literally crush it. It doesn't work for gels, but obviously it works for the tablets. And then you put it on applesauce and you mix it up. Or yogurt or anything like that, that it's like a good base. And then here's this one's a fancy one too. Look at that, it's electronic. But we've seen even the little simple ones that you just lift. Now we have to keep this in mind that, hi, welcome, that not everybody is able to maybe self-dispense their medication. And so if you have issues of dementia or cognitive impairment, to say, okay, here, mom, here's the box, you go ahead and take care of them yourself. She might take all of them, or she might take them from the wrong day. So this is where maybe an electronic one is better that opens individually, or it might be, I know they sell some that are individual, like a day, and you might just say, here's yours, and you go ahead and take them. It also allows a little bit of independence. You know, they're administering their own medication, but you are giving them the dosage that is required. Personal care products. Now, that's the commercial that you you were talking about, but it's also the ability to, practice good hygiene on an individual, dressing. So here are some examples. Norns Shampoo, right? All of you who are caregivers know that it might be very challenging to help someone bathe for different reasons. Maybe they're scared of falling. You are scared of falling, having that person fall. Maybe the water's they're too sensitive to the cold or to the heat of the water. So a no-rinse shampoo is really easy to just kind of, wherever it is that they're sitting, you can just do that without needing to wash. Here's another soap dispenser, right? It might be easier than having that bar of soap, or maybe one that's so light that as you pump it falls. So this is a little bit heavier and weighted. Yeah, and it's almost the automatic?
Yeah, like the Purell.
Yes, and so you don't have to pump.
Size be available?
Yes, yeah, I can. And then this is really neat. It's, think of it like those wipes, but it's a glove. And it helps to clean the person. It has no water. It has enough solution to clean. But it doesn't create like suds or anything, but it does have a cleaning agent, kind of like a soap that you can scrub the person with, and kind of the idea of the no-rinse shampoo. Okay, so these are some tools for personal care. And then of course we have other things like Depends, and we have other things that can, that I think a lot of us are more familiar with, but these are some that I wanted to share with you that might be helpful. Okay, so with improving mobility, we know for many reasons, right, people's mobility could be impaired. And it could be something as slight as vision, right? Our vision is constantly changing. There is a big jump at 40, and then it kind of progressively changes from there. And so if a person is elderly and maybe they have issues with vision, I might not be able to tell that that is a different carpet. I might assume that that's a step. And if I think that's a step and there is no step, I might fall. Or the reverse, right? I might think everything's straight and then I keep walking and then I fall because I didn't know there was a step. I can't see. People over 85 need about 3 times the light as a person that's 15. And so if you are in a household where you have younger people living there and then you have older people living there, the same light that you use for the living room is not going to be the same, the needs of those 2 individuals are going to be very different. So keep that in mind as well. I know older homes, I have an older home and I walk around thinking, oh, we need more light, we need more light. I can't see, I need lighting to see. But I think back in those houses back in the day, they just used lamps. And now we need central lighting because the houses weren't built like that. So we need more lamps. So just keep that in mind if that's how your house is. You might want to invest in some lamps to help you with that.
Do you mean the intensity or more lights overall?
I think what you can do is, and this is one of our talks that we do, is we do kind of like a home assessment, fall prevention talk. And what we encourage people to do is walk around your home and kind of put yourself in the shoes of that person that you're caring for. And if you think, this is kind of dingy, maybe we need a little bit more lighting, then get an additional lamp. Maybe you can get lamps that you can plug in to the sockets so that it can light up maybe the bottom, or maybe lights that reflect up so that it's brighter. If you're not going to be doing much reading or that person's not going to be in that area, maybe you don't need to worry about it, but especially hallways, walking to the bathroom, in the bathroom, things like that, because that can be a trip hazard. So improving mobility. So here are some examples, right? Now these are very simple, right? These are very simple examples. There are other ones that are a little bit more intense. We have electric wheelchairs. There are also canes that have a seat so that maybe the person, if they get tired, they can kind of just take a break and sit on, I think it folds. There are walkers that also have a seat and they have a little, like a basket so they can put things in the purse or something. So of course there are different kinds. And if this is something that you think that person needs, you can consider some of these. Okay, so with communication, again, we talked about our phones, right? Now, I think all of us pretty much have a smartphone. I don't really doubt people have the flip phones anymore. But the whole idea, and a lot of what we promote here at SCRC, is for people to be able to continue living at home. You are probably caring for someone at home, am I correct? And so you probably want to continue doing that, and that's why we want to give you those tools to help you to continue caring for that person and living independently. I know a lot of times, especially kind of there's a transitional period. I'm not ready to move in with you yet. I still want to live by myself, but it's becoming a little bit harder. I know of caregivers who say, you know what, my dad lives by himself and there's a second story and his bedroom is on the second floor. Maybe it's time to consider moving in with somebody, but if that person doesn't want to, then maybe we should move everything downstairs. So there are things that you can do to modify your home to continue living independently. And so this is one of those. It's a phone, as you can see, where the numbers are really big and they're easier to press because they are a little large. But then it's also, you see the pictures there? You could personalize it and put the picture of your family members or those people that you call frequently. So then all you have to do is just either press that picture or press the number. I mean, some models are a little different. But then that person doesn't even have to worry about dialing. And I don't know about you, but now we have to dial the one and the area code and then the phone number, even if it's within San Diego County. So for an elderly person, that might be too much. For a person who has issues with maybe mobility or eyesight, to have to type all those numbers, or even memory loss. Remember, that's too much. But these are a really easy way to communicate with people. This is another one. It's kind of like the, what is it, Alexa, which a lot of people have the same idea.
Big Brother, Alexa.
Yes, Big Brother Alexa. Yeah. And then, maybe people who have limited communication skills, they can press these or touch these and therefore communicate with others. So can you go with me? And then good. You're kind of showing people what you are trying to communicate.
Martha,
Yes.
we were able to get a free phone because my husband's hearing impaired.
Yes.
It's called CapTel,
Yes.
and it has the closed caption or, caption on there.
Thank you so much for sharing. So CapTel has CAP,
and then capital TEL, one word.
capital TEL, and so you can get free phones.
Go through your audiologist. She
Okay.
can give you their written letter or whatever for the hearing loss, and you can contact them to get a free phone.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So see, this is why we like to interact with each other. Yes.
How did you spell that?
CAPTEL, one word.
CapTel. So go through your audiologist.
Audiologist can give you the appropriate documentation, and then you can contact CapTel.
Perfect.
Ours just happen to have the information at the office, so.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know there is another, I know California has a campaign, but I just don't know the name. Maybe you can Google it. But where you could get free phones that are like what I showed you with the big numbers and the pictures. Okay, so home modifications. That's kind of like we were talking about earlier. Making it simple and safe and comfortable for you and your loved one, the people that you are living with and caring for. And so really doing an assessment of your home is important. What I have here is reflective tape. Because again, remember we talked about the lighting issue? If these lights, put yourself in the shoes of a person who maybe has some vision challenges. And those lights, steps are all the same color. They might think it's a flat surface. So if you step and you think you're just going to keep walking straight and then you fall, that's not what we want. So reflective tape allows you to know, okay, here's another step, here's another step, and it's something that they can see as they're going up and down. Handrails, right? If you don't have them, make sure you maybe get somebody to install them. They don't have to be as fancy. I think that's wood, but you could get something that's maybe at intervals, or maybe like this, so that they go up. Then in the shower. A lot of the falls that happen in homes happen in the shower. Why? It's wet and slippery, and you're not even thinking. I was getting out of the shower and I slipped, and I ended up with a big bruise right here because I have a tub. And my husband keeps saying, at some point we're going to have to get rid of that tub because right now we can step over. At some point, that's not going to be as easy. So it's something to consider, and that's why this shower has no tub. You kind of just step in. And all these grab bars. When I was caring for my great aunt, we installed a lot of grab bars in the shower and in the bathroom, actually. And I left them there because it's easy. It's easy now for me. I can just grab onto it and I feel safer and going in and out of the shower. And these are not too expensive. You can buy them at any homeware, like Home Depot or something.
I was told at a support group that Jewish Family Services
Yes.
install them for free. If you buy
Yes, they do. And for people who are clients, we have a good partnership with them, Jewish Family Service, and they can come to your home and assess your home and figure out where you might need one. And it's just not in the shower. It could be if you have, let's say, going to the backyard and you have steps. Well, maybe you should put a handrail right there so that you can come in and out of the home. Okay, So incontinence tools and supplies. Now, this is something, and obviously it's for a lot of people is a very difficult topic to talk about because there's that independence, not wanting to admit that this is maybe a need that they have. I remember with my aunt, we went through that transition, and it was really challenging for her to come to that realization. Obviously, it's something that was needed, and I had to do it in such a way that it was comfortable for her. And so now there are so many different like incontinence supplies that are very different. They have different colors and different textures and very discreet. So you have a lot of options now, and they're easily accessible at drugstores. This right here is also a mat that you can put on a bed and then take it off and wash it. And then here is, instead of maybe having the person, maybe you can assess when the accidents are happening. And instead of relying on that person to go to the restroom, maybe it's too difficult to walk all the way to the restroom. Having a commode by the bed might make things a little bit easier. And that's actually what we ended up doing with my aunt, because by the time she would get to the bathroom, it was too much for her. And so we just put a commode right next to her bed. And she felt a little bit more comfortable. So those are some options. And so vehicle modifications. So if you're talking about people who are still driving or depend on getting to and from certain areas, sometimes we need the vehicles to be modified. Maybe we need something with, the hands or the feet. You were going to say something? Oh, okay. So that it's comfortable for them to drive. So here we have a van with a ramp. Might make it easier for the person to get to and from. And then here's this tool. I don't know if you can see it. But it's actually, it's probably like this big. And it unfolds, and you stick it into this part of the car where the door latches on. So as you are getting out of the car, you can put pressure and then get out. Because I don't know if you've noticed that if you're anybody who's a caregiver who's helping somebody get in and out of the car, they depend on you to hold them to get in and out. But what if they are on their own? Who's going to help them with that? And this is where this helps so that they don't fall. And it's really simple. You can carry it in your purse.
Do you know what that's?
You know what? I don't. I'll find out for you. Yes. So we also have, as caregivers, we're always thinking about all the challenges that could arise, including an emergency. And for those of you who are caring for someone who maybe lives on their own, that's always a worry, right? I know that with my aunt, I was always worried that she was falling. And so how am I going to find her when I come and visit? So we encourage people to really look into a medical alert system of some kind. And there are several out there. So one is kind of this whole emergency system. And as you can see, they're wearables. There's places that you can put them in the home and just press a button. There's some that you can put around your neck. Not the prettiest, I think, but it's an emergency situation. That's probably better. And then cameras. Not for. I know it sounds kind of invasive, and you're talking about Big Brother, but it's really kind of the idea of just monitoring. I ended up using something similar with my aunt, but I used a baby monitor because at that time I had my baby. And so what we did is we put an extra camera so that I knew when she was getting up to go to the restroom, this was before the commode, that I was on alert and just kind of make sure that I could follow her and everything was fine. So this is also a way to do that. Yes?
Can I ask you, I don't want to take too much time.
That's okay.
So we tried, I live with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
who's 96,
Oh, wow.
who actually is pretty good for somebody her age. Anyway, we tried 3 different medical alert systems. None of them
Worked.
even the best one, you have to wear something, unless things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have. You have to wear something around your neck to get the fall protection.
Okay.
And the other ones we tried that had that big unit that's separate from the person, there were a lot of false, it would just go off all the time. You can't modify the volume. It was really irritating. Then she got one she wore around her neck. That was like the best one, but you can't modify the volume on that either because
Okay.
they want to be able to hear if there's a problem.
Yeah.
But it drove her crazy. I wouldn't want to have to wear something like that.
And I appreciate you sharing
But
that.
I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to put, even though I really hate this and I think it is terribly invasive, but I'm ready to put cameras and an app on my phone so I can be out of the house and be able to see if she's falling or just,
So I'm glad that you share that story because I think a lot of us caregivers go through that thought process. Oh, I don't want to be so invasive. I don't want to be so big brother.
It's like the alternative is she's
Exactly.
scared, she doesn't remember, even
Yes.
if I left her a note, she calls me in the middle of,
I want you to think about the alternative is the safety issue, right? You're doing this to make sure that they're safe. That if something were to happen, then you are aware and you can quickly go in there or you can call someone. And so many times that has to supersede our fear of being so invasive. And it's not easy, and I think we do it at different levels. With me, using the baby monitor was an easy way for me to be able to observe where she was and make sure that if she was taking too long, then I could go in there and figure out what was happening. And many times, because she had cognitive impairment, she kind of was forgetting where she was supposed to go. And so had I not intercepted her, she would have ended up like in the kitchen or lost in the house. So it's kind of weighing that. It's kind of weighing that. But you're doing it for a good reason. That's why you're doing this, and that's why you're here. So just keep that in mind. Which leads us into the dementia and the cognitive impairment. So there are, especially for early stages, sometimes it's easier than later stages. In early stages, that person might still be able to do things on their own, and you can maybe step back a little bit more. As the dementia progresses, then that's where you might need a lot more tools as a caregiver because, like you were saying, maybe they can't hear and then they can't process what's happening. So here's an example. This is a mat that sends a signal that alerts you when that person's getting out of the bed. So it kind of was the idea of like what I was talking with my aunt, that it kind of alerts you, hey, there's movement. She's gotten up, be aware. A lot of places like retirement communities use those alerts. I know they do them, they kind of pin them to the back of the wheelchair, for example, so in case they're trying to get up and off the wheelchair.
Ball hats?
Yes. This one, again, early stages. I just want to clarify. Today is Tuesday morning at 10:30, June 12, 2017. It's a constant reminder. Now, again, with progressive dementias, it wouldn't matter, right? They might forget, 5 seconds later, or it might not make sense to them what this information means. So that's another one. And then, of course, location devices. Our phones do that. Many times people go out on walks and they might start to have challenges remembering how to get home. So maybe some sort of a route calculator or app that shows you where you live and how to get there. Or you as a caregiver know where that person is and you're tracking them. Allowing them that flexibility or mobility or independence, but you know where they are. I mean, and people do that with each other. Hey, I'm going to go on a run. Just so you know, this is the route that I'm taking, and you can follow me. And if I don't come back, make sure you go look for me. Right? So here's another one. Okay, so what kind of assistive technology is right for you? We talked about a lot of stuff. Ah,
But I'm not sure about mine.
right? I mean, and we've used some of those. I've used some of those myself. You know, I talked about that tool to be able to reach stuff. So it really depends what it is that you're looking at, because everything can be so confusing. I wanted to give you kind of like an overall, and you might not use everything. You might not use everything now, but maybe down the road you might, but at least you know about them. So it can be very confusing, but really determining what's best for you and the person you're caring for. So for example, your situation, you thought that this was good for your mom, and then you realized that when she started using it, it wasn't the greatest. So maybe you try something else. It's not always a one, fit for all. And it's sometimes easier to just pick the things as the simplest. When you start getting into bells and whistles and gadgets and things, and it might just be too confusing. Even for, I don't know about you, but somebody was saying that they got a new phone, the fancy new ones with the nice cameras. I think it has like 3 or something. But if you don't know how to use all of it, then it's probably a little too much, right? Maybe sometimes more simple is better. So determine your immediate needs, or maybe or knowing something that's going to grow with you. Right now I need it very simple. Later on I might need a little bit more intricate or have it do more. Okay, so some of the benefits, now we're kind of getting into the digital technology, right? Some of the benefits, as you can see here, it's not just for caregivers, right? I mean, look at all these things. Online shopping. Movies. We can buy our passes. I mean, I was talking to someone not too long ago. Like, remember we used to buy concert tickets through, Ticketmaster? And that was automated. But now you just buy them online. Travel, right? You can book your hotels, your airline tickets, your cruise ship tickets, whatever. Place order. They even bring you the food to wherever you are. Cash transfers. Recharge your phone. Who has the coffee app that you just kind of refill like a gift card on your phone, and then you can just keep buying coffee, and you just refill it. It's tied to your credit card. Yeah. I mean, who needs money, right? Who needs cash? So this is a way to make things more efficient and easier, but we could also use them for ourselves as caregivers. So I'm going to give you some digital assistive technologies. And these are not necessarily things that we are endorsing or that we're telling you need to contract with this company. We're not saying that. We're just things that we have found here locally that you might want to look into, okay? And I know, for example, the County of San Diego is really doing a big effort in trying to connect caregivers to their digital technologies, assistive technologies, because we are growing old. We are needing more of these services for ourselves to stay independent. And so a lot of companies are really vying for the opportunity to provide these services. So we are sitting as caregivers in kind of like a prime location to figure out what's there that we can use for ourselves. So maybe there's something here that might work for you. Okay, so this is a local company that helps you with real-time assistance, okay? So it's very new technology. It helps you to utilize public transportation, companionship. You call the person and they connect you. This is very much something that was created for people with vision challenges. And so you might not be able to figure out where the bus routes are or even how to dial correctly. But if you call, somebody will do that for you. They also, see, this is how it works. So this is kind of like glasses. They connect to your phone. You call an agent with one tap. You get connected to that person, and that person gives you real-time assistance. And so especially for people who have vision issues.
Is that a subscription service?
You know, I am not exactly sure. but it is a local company that is very much interested in working with people who are vision impaired. Here's another one. And again, we're not necessarily endorsing, we're just something that we found that could be helpful. But they do a lot of care plans, calendar, maintaining your medication. So if, as you can see, is very centrally located. So then you, as the caregiver, can manage all of these different aspects, but you could also invite others to be part of this. So let's say Susie and I are sisters and we're caring for mom, and I'm in one state and she's in another state, and maybe she lives closer to mom than I do. And I can be connected and feel connected through something like this because it's all in there. And then I can say, hey, I saw that you went to the doctor, how was it? Or I saw that mom had this activity, how is she doing with that? And so now it kind of creates better communication between people. And then of course this is, I think, great because we all need we all need checklists. We all need to prepare as much as we can. The pill phone is something that helps you with your medication. And it allows you to, remind you when medication is due, when you need to maybe refill some of the medication. It helps the family, the caregiver in this case. It's in English and Spanish. So that's also helpful. So that's another option. And then to kind of expand on, not necessarily on this one, but something that I learned when I was in this caregiving role, I think we sometimes approach caregiving as very, maybe we forget about the technology available, and that's why I was really excited to talk to you about this. But when I was caring for my aunt, I didn't realize how many other things I could have used to assist me in that role. So I was still under that whole, mentality of get the prescription from the doctor, go to the pharmacy, drive myself there, wait for the pharmacist to refill, and then explain to me everything, and then drive home, right? During that time, I was working literally above a pharmacy, And you have no idea how many times I would forget to refill her medication. Because I was rushing out of there to go home to take care of her, and I forgot to refill the prescription. So there I would have to come back all the way to work, refill, wait, now I'm stuck in traffic, and then do this. And I would do this, I was there all the time. And then somebody said, why don't you just get it delivered? And I know some of you are nodding because you agree that I didn't know about this. And so I thought, what? So I utilized a service where they would deliver to my home. They would knock on the door, give me my prescription. They had individualized pill dispenser, so you kind of like it's like the blister packages. You pop the pills out. And so I could easily just say, okay, here's your medication. And I didn't have to worry about going anywhere. So that's another method that, it might not necessarily be technology, but it is an assistive method that could help you and make your lives a little easier.
And a lot of times delivery is free.
Yes. So this is something I was thinking of you when you were talking about that device, because this is also something that's fairly recent. And those cool watches you're talking about? It kind of works similarly. It is a watch, but it's kind of like an alert system. It's an alert system is what it is. And it gets tied to somebody that if there's an alert, that person's going to call back and say, is everything okay? Are you doing, what's going on? But that person wears it on their wrist. And so now, and they're a little bit, they look kind of pretty. It depends which color you like. But it's very efficient. And so many times, many seniors feel really safe wearing something like that because they can see it on their wrist versus the wearing it on their neck. It doesn't look bad because it looks like a smart, phone. What is it? Smartwatch. And it's another option that people can have. And again, it's a medical alert system.
Does it have a fall alert on it?
Yes, and you can set it up however you want. If people think it's more for a fall risk versus like walking or getting lost, it just depends on the features that you're selecting. What I would recommend again is go online and look for more information.
How would you look for more?
You just type the name on the like the search engine,
Right.
and you'll get more from them. Website, click on the website, go in there.
Okay.
And this is kind of what it does. In-home checkups and examinations, real-time evaluation, medical response, physician on demand, caregiver coordination, vitals monitoring, medication and test reminders, all of that it can do. So that's pretty neat. And then these are, again, another company that's local, that is kind of at the forefront of incontinence products. And so these are pads that can actually tell if someone has, what is it, UTI. I'm like, no, UTI. So if you have an infection, many times what happens is that seniors or people who are being taken care of might not realize they have a UTI, and so they're experiencing all this discomfort and maybe cannot verbalize it or have no idea what's happening, and it's very common. And so, you kind of end up getting an infection, and then you have to go to the doctor. It becomes a bigger problem. So with these pads, the enzymes and the bacterial, it kind of monitors that, and it sends an alert to your phone. So then you would know, okay, that's what's going on. So then you as a caregiver can tell the doctor, or you can, whatever medication, and take care of that right away. Yes. Because that's something that you definitely do not want to let prolong without knowing. So this is another one. So this is the question, right? We're talking about a lot of options. How do you pay for it? So in the past couple of years, all of this that I'm sharing with you, I didn't even know about when I was caring for my aunt. And I don't think it existed because a lot of these companies are new. And so I feel that because we are all here together, we're kind of sharing our experience, companies are listening and they're creating these different services, and it's growing. And because it's growing, things are cheaper, market demand. Medicare can pay for a lot of these devices, and Medicaid can also pay. And you might say, oh, no, we don't qualify for Medicaid. You'd be surprised. So you need to make sure you look into that. There are some waiver programs. I talked about the phones in California. You share that, what is it? CapTel. And you also have private insurance companies or plans that pay for that. Public service organizations is like Jewish Family Service, who has a grant. It's actually called the Fix-It Grant. They're the ones that go into your home, assess your home, and say, okay, you could probably use a handrail here, probably could use a ramp there, and they will do that for free. Government agencies, we talked about California, the county, and then here are some other ones that could assist. So a lot of, kind of like wheelchairs, canes, walkers, those things also Medicare pays for. So it's, and some people just pay out of pocket. They just say, you know what, I'm just going to pay out of pocket and I don't have to worry about it. But even incontinence supplies, like the diapers, I didn't know that Medicare could pay for them. So there I was buying them out of pocket, and then somebody said, well, Medicare can pay for them.
Oh, I didn't know Medicare.
Yeah. So look into it, yes.
Like, does it have to go through your PCP or?
I would ask. I would ask, 'cause I know everyone is different and everybody's insurance companies or plans are different. I know sometimes what one doesn't cover, the other one can. So you might do it that way as well. Oh, so that concludes. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Is there an organization, a website, a group that you can talk to find out what really works well, what doesn't? Because as I said, we went through 3 different medical alert systems and none of them worked for us.
So I
They
know,
were major,
sure.
business.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but when you buy things online, if you keep scrolling down that product, a lot of people give reviews.
Right?
And they'll say, this was great, I totally recommend it, my mom loved it, or it was so easy. And you can kind of get an idea from there. You could also hear comments that are like, this is terrible, cheap, don't even worry about it, don't spend your money. You can assess, at least you have kind of those comments to make the best decision. Now, what I recommend, if you haven't already connected to our services, join one of our support groups, because this is what it kind of becomes. Somebody saying, oh no, that didn't work for my mom, but this did. And so now you can ask them a little bit more about that. So support groups, connecting with other caregivers. We have our clinical staff who talk to caregivers a lot, and they can also assess what they're hearing from caregivers directly. So that might be an option. But I don't know about a online group that assesses this.
Or IT people that
Mhm.
specialize in
Yeah, I don't know about a group.
technology, because some things
We are having,
don't work.
and if I can just kind of shift here, we are having a mobility assistant and safety tools workshop on January 31st. We are going to be talking a lot about how to utilize some of this assistive technology that we've talked about. Not everything that we talked about today, but I know in last year when we had our workshop, we talked about certain products like gait belts and chairs that lift and medical beds. And so people were talking about what works, what doesn't work, how to use it, how to not use it. So that could be something that you might be interested in attending, and it's a free workshop. And talk to other people there as well. Yeah. Did you have a question?
Yeah, could you send us the slides?
Yeah, I can do that. If you want to send me your emails, and I can give you some of that
How
info.
do we send it?
Registration.
Oh,
I mean, our emails are on the registration.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Any other questions? So what I want to do is I want to just kind of give you our information. If you, I mean, you know where we are. You came here today. But you also have a brochure with all of our resources, with our phone numbers, our contact info. If you're not a client already, all of our services are free. And the next thing I want to remind you of is these are our new classes for the new year. And we have our mobility, well, these are educational classes. Our mobility workshop, which is January 31st. We also have a luncheon on February 21st, which you can attend, and we're going to be recognizing some advocates and some caregivers. And then we have our military and veteran family caregiver conference, and this is very specific to caregivers who are caring for someone with a traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, physical disability. So if you know anyone who might benefit from them, let them know. You have the flyers. Everything we do is free. So we really encourage you to connect with us, get our services, attend a support group, go online and look at we have videos, we have podcasts, we have other live stream classes. Every month we do a different topic. I know some of you have attended some of the classes. And the next year, I think we have a list of those classes. If you're interested, you can see Lupin. She can give you a list of all the new classes that we have planned for the next year. Okay? Yes?
Do you have any support groups for people who are caregiving for chronic depression?
You know what we do?
Generic or?
Well, all of our support, and happy holidays. We have several support groups throughout the county. Some are in English and Spanish, and they really vary. None of them are necessarily specific. It just depends on the groupings. Some of them tend to be very dementia focused, other more maybe Parkinson's. So what I would suggest, now we do have a list of support groups that we can give you. And so you might, Lupe can give you that list and you might call and see where you can fit into that support group. All our staff who lead each group can give you a better idea of if that's something that can be good for you. Yeah, but she can give you that list. Any other questions? I hope this was helpful.
Are your slides on the?
Yes, if you leave me maybe a little star next to your name, then I can send you something. Yeah. That paper. All right, well, thank you so much for coming. And if anybody wants to, thank you, appreciate it. If anybody wants to connect to our services, you want to get a tour upstairs of our resources, let us know. We're here to help. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We have plenty of coffee.